Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and thank you for tuning in to Canal Algérie's nightly news. Onto the headlines. As per his commitments during the electoral campaign, the President of the Republic installs the head of the National Commission in charge of reviewing the municipal and provincial code. On the second day of his official visit to Italy, at the invitation of his Italian counterpart, the Army General Ngriha, the PNA Chief of Staff holds talks meant to consolidate military bilateral cooperation. The Zionist army carries on further strikes on Lebanon, targeting several southern regions and the capital Beirut. And the social turmoil persists in Morocco, with the mounting unemployment hitting seriously the country. Welcome back. We begin with tonight's main story. Fulfilling his commitments during the electoral campaign and while taking the constitutional oath, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, installed today the National Commission in charge of reviewing the municipal and provincial code, which constitutes of Dahou Qabliya, former Minister of Interior and Territory Planning, Chairman of the Commission, Abdullah Munji, Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic, Deputy Chairman of the Commission, 5 senators of the Council of the Nation, 5 MPs of the People's National Assembly, 5 governors, 5 presidents of the popular assemblies of the province, 5 directors of the legislation and public affairs, 5 presidents of the Municipal People's Council. The National Commission for the Review of Municipal and Provincial Codes shall begin its mission immediately upon its installation. Let's now shed more light on the lofty career of this national figure who devoted his lifetime to serve his country in this story portraying Wild Qabliya's milestones during the Liberation War and after independence. Selimira reports.
Dahou Qabliya, one of the prominent figures of Algeria, he served his country with dedication since his early age. He joined the National Liberation Army with the Armament and General Liaison Ministry, within which he played a leading role. Holding a bachelor's degree in 1955, Wild Qabliya has always been a matchless politician who managed to deal brilliantly with several thorny files relating to politics and administration. He held several senior positions after the independence of Algeria, notably as governor of several provinces before becoming the Secretary General of the Interior Ministry, which he finally chaired. This rich background allowed him to dominate all the files and challenges of municipalities and provinces, notably in terms of local development and running these state institutions. These facts will for sure enable him to give a valuable contribution while accomplishing the mission freshly assigned to him by the President of the Republic.
On the second day of his official visit to Italy, upon the invitation of his Italian counterpart, Admiral Giuseppe Dragoni, the Army General Chief of Staff of the PNA, Ngriha, expressed his satisfaction with the level of the Algerian-Italian military cooperation in full confidence in the embodiment of the common will of the two countries' leaders to build a comprehensive strategic partnership. During the talks he held with his Italian counterpart, Manan Maaf.
On the second day of his official visit to Italy, at the invitation of his Italian counterpart, Admiral Giuseppe Dragoni, Army General Ngriha, Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, visited the historic site of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Rome on Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024, where he laid a wreath of flowers to honor the memory of the fallen war heroes. Afterwards, Army General Ngriha proceeded to the headquarters of the Italian Ministry of Defense, where he was received by Admiral Giuseppe Dragoni. The reception ceremony included the playing of the national anthems of both Algeria and Italy. It was then later followed by a military salute from a military formation in the presence of representatives from the Italian Ministry of Defense. Army General Said Shingriha also held talks with Admiral Cavo Dragone, during which both parties discussed ways to strengthen military cooperation between Algeria and Italy and exchanged views on current international and regional issues. The Army General expressed his gratitude and appreciation for the invitation, considering the visit as another step toward future enhancing military relations between the two friendly nations. The discussions later on expanded to include the delegations of both countries. At the end, the two parties exchanged symbolic gifts, after which Army General Said Shingriha signed the Golden Guest Book at the Italian Ministry of Defense headquarters.
In other news, the Premier Nader Al-Arabawi toured a government meeting devoted to examine the 2025 finance draft bill ahead of the Council of Ministers. The government also listened to a presentation on the measures taken to compensate victims of the bad weather that hit some provinces in September. As part of monitoring the health situation in certain southern provinces, the government followed a presentation on the various measures and the progress of prevention and vaccination campaigns to limit the spread of diseases in line with the instructions of the President of the Republic, particularly with regard to strengthening the capacities of the health centers, also providing the necessary vaccines and medicines, which made it possible to mobilize all energies for the management of the situation according to health protocols and reduce the number of contamination cases. As part of the revival of the Green Dam as a strategic project of national importance and a priority in the fight against desertification, the government studied the draft executive decree determining the composition of the coordination body for the fight against desertification, the rehabilitation of the Green Dam, its regulation, and its operation. Finally, the government listened to a presentation on the plowing and sowing campaign that began yesterday. Preparations for this agricultural season aimed at achieving self-sufficiency as instructed by the head of state in Durham by 2025 and in Burley by 2026 were reviewed. Now to the energy sector, the 56th meeting of the Joint Ministerial Monitoring Committee of the follow-up of the OPEC Plus, with the participation of the Minister of Energy and Mines. The maintenance of the current production volumes decided during the GMMC held by video conference. The Ministerial Committee decided after noting the compliance with the production levels required by all members for the months of July and August. Arqab stressed that since the beginning of summer, the market has been marked by excessive volatility about the significant slowdown in demand for petroleum products. Hence, the importance of all signatory countries of the Declaration of Cooperation to continue their efforts and compensate for the supplies produced in previous months. And to promote partnership in the Kafra field on the Algerian-Nigerian borders, the Energy Minister Mohamed Al-Qab, along with the Nigerian Oil Minister Sahabi Omaro, signed the minutes ensuring trading and expertise sharing in addition to technology transfer. The gas pipeline linking Algeria to Lagos via Niger was also reviewed by the two ministers. On to the operational report of the People's National Army's activity in the past week. In the context of the fight against terrorism and border security, and thanks to the efforts of units of the People's National Army, the terrorists named Brigadier Mohammed, known as Abu al-Humam, surrounded to the military authorities in Burj Abu al-Humam in possession of a Kalashnikov submachine gun, 5 loaded ammunition magazines, and other items. In the same context, a detachment of the PNA discovered and destroyed 20 homemade bombs in Tizi Ouzou, while other detachments of the People's National Army arrested 17 support elements to terrorist groups during separate operations across the national territory. In the framework of the fight against organized crime and the continuation of the tireless efforts aimed at countering the scourge of drug trafficking in our country, combined detachments of the PNA intercepted, in coordination with the different security services, in operations across the military regions, 31 drug traffickers, and averted attempts to introduce 5 quintals and 80 kilograms of processed kief through the borders with Morocco, while over 2 kilograms of cocaine and 376,600 psychotropic tablets were seized, while 96 individuals and 29 vehicles, 118 group generators, 42 jackhammers, quantities of mixture of raw gold and stones, explosives, detonation tools, and other equipment used in illegal gold mining operations were seized. On the other hand, 18 other individuals were arrested, 1 Kalashnikov submachine gun, 8 hunting rifles, 4 automatic pistols, 15,200 liters of fuel, as well as 36 quintals of tobacco, 20 tons of foodstuffs intended for smuggling and speculation were seized during separate operations across the national territory. Similarly, border guards thwarted at the level of our national coasts attempts at illegal immigration of 139 individuals aboard traditionally made boats, while 452 illegal immigrants of different nationalities were arrested across the national territory. During an emergency session held at the UN Security Council devoted to the latest developments in Palestine and Lebanon, the permanent representative of Algeria, Ammar bin Jammeh, stressed the necessity to intervene in an efficient way to maintain world peace and security and avoid the non-compliance with the UN resolutions. In a similar context, the 57th session of the Human Rights Council devoted to the situation in the Palestinian territories kicked off. The head of the Algerian delegation, permanent representative to the UN in Geneva and international organizations in Switzerland, affirmed that Algeria is convinced that stability and security in the Middle East depend on the implementation of international law and putting an end to colonization of all occupied Arab territories, a fair and a lasting settlement to the Arab-Israeli conflict. Bledhan called on the international community to impose political and economic sanctions on the Zionist entity and ban the delivery of weapons. In the latest development of the dangerous Zionist escalation in Lebanon, the Zionist occupation aircrafts continue their intensive raids on the southern suburbs of the capital Beirut and other areas in the south and east of Lebanon, while the convoys of displaced people are increasing by thousands, fleeing the fire of the occupation towards safer places. Morocco hit by another social crisis. The unemployment rate keeps increasing, which is pushing thousands of young people to breach and cross the borders with Spain. Manan Maafa has more.
Endemic unemployment continues to erode Moroccan society, marked by an alarming decline in purchasing power. Young people, trapped under an authoritarian regime, struggle to envision a better future in a country that increasingly seems to abandon them for their fate. The youth unemployment rate for these aged 15 to 24 reached nearly 49% in 2024, a record that drives thousands of them to desperately seek escape from their country. The Spanish enclave of Ceuta has become one of the main exit routes for those young people willing to do anything to escape a life of misery.
يهربوا من هاد البلاد هاد قول لي علاش ماشي زعما حاجه خايبه ولا بنادم على حساب كرامته.
انا شايفه لو كانت ما كايناش الفيزا ندير عكاز ونمشي من هاد البلاد حيت بلا الظلم قارنا الظلم قربتها الرشوه قهرونا بالظلم الظلم كي بغينا ولادنا يخدموا ما بغيناش ولادنا يظلموا في هذه البلاد كاين الظلم لا مشيتي للاداره ينهضوا فيك يعايروك فين ما مشيتي ينهضروك علاش هذا الشيء.
Meanwhile, the decline in purchasing power weighs heavily on the population. The prices of essential goods have skyrocketed, while incomes remain stagnant, plunging entire families into extreme poverty. For many, it is no longer about comfort but survival, as the difficulty of obtaining food has become a harsh reality for many Moroccan households. In the fact of this critical situation, social unrest is intensifying. The Makhzen regime, accused of inaction in the face of this distress, seems incapable of providing concrete solutions. Repression is often the only response to the protests of desperate young people and families. Yet, the call for a more dignified life rings louder than ever, as the gap widens between the government's promises and the daily reality of a population grappling with hunger, unemployment, and a lack of hope for the future.
The concerns of Moroccans are not limited to socio-economic issues only. They are also environmental, since their country is turning into a public wasteland for Europe. Tons of waste are being imported annually with substantial sums of money and multiple risks on environment and public health. More details in this concise report.
90% of the waste locally generated in Morocco is not recycled. However, the Makhzen government opts for importing it. More than 2.5 tons of waste is hailing from Europe, notably France, the United Kingdom, Spain, Italy, Norway and Sweden. This move aroused a tidal wave of indignation among the civil society and citizens expressing their fears that their country would turn into a public wasteland for Europe. This move violates the Moroccan constitution that gives right for citizens to a decent life in a safe environment. Waste consists mainly of tires meant to be burnt in factories to produce energy, increasing the fears of environment champions as it threatens the public health and throws into question the Moroccan commitments concerning sustainable development and clean energy. This strategy that favors importing waste costs huge sums of money at the expense of the Moroccan economy, pollutes the environment and threatens the public health of Moroccans.
Sports now. The USM Algiers defeated US Biskra with 2-1 as part of the National Football Championship. The game that brought together CR Belouizdad to its host US Khanchla ended in a goalless draw. The same results marked the match of CS Constantine and ES Mustaganem.
هدف حرك شباك اتحاد بسكرة ومعه تحركت مدرجات بعد اللحظات. اللاعب رقم 9 في صفوف الفاول. باغت الجميع باغتني بهدف ثاني نادي بارادو ومولودية الجزائر بروعة اخطفها براسه.
End of the news. Thank you for watching. Take care.